A pleasant good evening to all. There is an old African proverb that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. There is no greater pillar of stability than a strong, free, and educated woman. There's no limit to what we as women can accomplish. It's March 8th, International Women's Day. Let me use this opportunity to address all the powerful women out there who come out in flying colors. I gladly welcome you all to the Ayuth Women's Day program, Amrita Shakti, the Tales of Inspiration. To mark a beginning for the event, let me invite Harinandana for the prayer.
Namaskar. ध्यायामो धवलावतीं वनवती तेजोमयीं नैष्टिकीम् निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनी भगवती मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखी वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणी सुमधुरम् सङ्कीर्तनालापिनी श्यामाङ्गी मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिका ईश्वरी ॐ अमृतेश्वरी नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वरी ॐ अमृतेश्वरी नमः
The willingness to listen, the patience to understand, the strength to support, the heart to care and just be there. She is the mother, daughter, sister, wife, and so on. That's the beauty of womanhood. Happy Women's Day, all. To celebrate this beautiful evening of Amrita Shakti, we have many honorable speakers with us to enlighten us with the true spirit of womanhood. So, without much delay, let us get into our compendium talk. Let us start today's session with Swamini Shamatamrita Prana, an active coordinator of Mata Amritananda Maymat Gujarat Center, also principal of Amrita Vidyalayam, Ahmedabad. Welcome, ma'am.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Namashivaya, ma'am.
Okay. Before I enter further into the topic, I would like to express my gratitude to our most beloved Amma, Adi Parashakti, the personification of universal motherhood, who has made me feel proud in being a woman, who has made me connect with my inner strength, who has given me self-confidence and who has taught me to believe in myself. If I did not take this opportunity in humbly offering myself to Amma on this special occasion, the celebration of International Women's Day will not become perfect and complete. Oh Amma, your story is a story reflected in the eyes of millions of women, the ones who wake up fearless and proud to stand up for what's right, the ones who stand up holding the weight of responsibility, trying to make the world more inclusive, who balance their personal life with work. the ones who express their heart in their values. Every little step that you take is the progress of an entire world. You are the expression of your own rights. Your hope, your effort and perseverance. Your inspiration, your the pioneer, your compassion, your victory, courage and emotion, your kindness and unconditional love. You're a role model, your endless energy, your motherhood, you're the past and the future. Saluting the spirit of womanhood and the women inspired by your mom. I thank all the organizers to include me in this wonderful event. One summer was questioned as, what is women's empowerment? Is this about gender equality or is it more than that? Amma replied, basically women empowerment is something that should happen within. In truth, women are already powerful. In the Sri Lalita Sahasranama, the Divine Mother is described as Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupini. She whose own form is the will, power of will, knowledge and action. The truth is that these three powers are inherent in every woman, but many women have yet to awaken to that. Women are not helpless or weak. Society has come up with this idea and shackled them with it. But there's nothing a woman cannot do if she sets her mind to it. All that is needed is to create the right circumstances to awaken her inherent strength. Through the women empowerment programs of the Ashram Amrita University, we are trying to create circumstances to help this awakening. The current event is one such initiative, and I feel proud that you organizers are taking this initiative. Women are leaders everywhere you look, from a CEO to a house, a wife that holds together a home. Our world was built by women who stand alone. The woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before, says Albert Einstein. And we know how well Amma has proved the statement to come true. There's nothing in this world that a woman cannot achieve if she has ambition, determination, and the gift to do it. The power of women is so great that others seem to realize only when it gets exploded. Being a woman has the capability of adjusting to all kinds of circumstances and only brings out the best in her in times of crisis. This she can achieve with ease with a smile on her face. Being a woman is always filled with joy, with happiness, with responsibility, and with certain degree of mystery that is difficult to unveil by men. This world belongs to women and it has been made more beautiful by women. Added with all these greatness, it can never be denied or altered that women alone are blessed with the power to create life. Amma says that women should venture into all spheres of society, but whatever she does, she should have firm faith in the power of motherhood. Actions devoid of that in any sphere will not help women to progress but will weaken them. Amma has established a vast network of charitable organizations ranging from schools and hospitals and orphanages and building homes for the poor. Too many to mention here. And finally, again defying tradition, she was the first religious leader to invest women as priests in the traditional temples. She believes that God does not discriminate between the sexes. Until recently, women were not allowed to worship in the inner sanctum of a temple, nor could women consecrate a temple or perform Vedic rituals. Women didn't even have the freedom to chant Vedic mantras, but Amma is encouraging and appointing women to do these things. I would like to mention here that Amma had given me also the opportunity to learn to perform the homas and pujas in the tantric tradition. She had appointed me as pujarini in the Brahmasthanam in Mauritius. I have been serving in the capacity of principal in Amrita Vidyalaya in Ahmedabad, Gujarat since 2006. I have been coordinating the spiritual activities of Mata Amritandamayi Mutt in Gujarat Center since 2000. All these assignments have been extremely challenging. But because we have Amma, the incarnation of Adi Parashakti, the embodiment of Stri Shakti, every situation has transformed into opportunities that has made me tap into my inner strength, power, and wisdom. Years ago, when I joined the organization in 1991, during one of the cleaning occasions, Amma had hinted that we were destined to become mothers, not by delivering babies, but become mothers of the world. At that young age of 19, with no exposure to world, I never had any idea about the concept of universal motherhood, nor about women empowerment. I had never imagined in my wildest dreams that Amma was preparing me to shoulder big responsibilities towards the world, the nation, and mankind at large. Educators are nation builders. In Amma Samartha Vidyalayam's national network of value-based schools, students are imparted values along with state-of-art education. Amma had ensured that we learn the sacred Vedic chants and scriptural texts. Amma had ensured that we learn yoga and meditation. Amma had ensured that we learn music and instruments as well. I realized that Amma has been equipping us, empowering us to become instruments to serve mankind at large. A woman is the full circle. Within her is the power to create, nurture, and transform. Somebody once asked Amma, what are the qualities of an empowered woman? And how can women be empowered while maintaining their femininity? Amma said, there's nothing a woman cannot do if she sets her mind to it. Today, we see women flourishing in political, social, and economic spheres. Anything a man can do, a woman can do. But women should always remain firm in their motherly nature. It is without leaving that foundation that they should strive to excel in all other fields. In our culture, we have the concept of Ardhanarishwara, God is half woman, half man. This shows us that completion comes when we have balance of feminine and masculine qualities. Motherly qualities, kindness, patience, adjusting, compassion, peace, selflessness, humility are needed now more than ever before. These qualities must awaken in society, in both women and in men, if we are to survive. Women have to wake up and rise. The awakening of the dormant power of women is one of the most urgent needs of the age. A beautiful woman uses her lips for truth, her voice for kindness and good words, her ears for compassion, her hands for charity, and her heart for love. For those who don't like it, she uses prayer. Amma is the role model of women in today's world. Through various institutions and activities, Amma is a light and hope for women in today's world. A woman can deal with stress, carry heavy burdens. She smiles when she feels like screaming. She sings when she feels like crying. She cries when she's happy, laughs when she's afraid. Her love is unconditional. There's only one thing wrong with her. She forgets what she's worth. In truth, no external power can possibly obstruct woman in her innate qualities of motherhood, qualities such as love, empathy, and patience. It is she and she alone who can awaken herself. A woman's mind is the only real barrier that prevents this from happening. The limitations women think they have are not real. Women need to muster the strength to overcome those imagined limitations, says our beloved Amma. Amma is providing the right circumstances and support to help women to awaken and arise. Not only that, she is training women to draw inspiration from every circumstance and find strength within themselves. Real power and strength don't come from the outside, they are to be found within. And courage is an attitude of the mind, it is not a quality of the body, says our beloved Amma. More than half of the world's population are women. Only when women are accorded the honor they deserve can we create a world of light and awareness. Women can perform all tasks just as well as men, perhaps even better. Women have the willpower and creative energy to do any type of work. Women have the purity of mind and intellectual capacity to achieve this. Women should be positive and practice patience, faith, and love. Women should not forget her inborn qualities, the essentials of universal motherhood, which is her foundation. Amma's life is a testimony to the statement. The language of the heart, the language of love, is related to the feminine principle. Those who speak this language do not care about their ego. They are deeply concerned about their fellow beings and wish to help, support, and uplift others. In their presence, transformation simply happens. They are the givers of tangible hope and of light in this world. Those who approach them are reborn. How many women all over the globe are inspired by our most beloved dear Amma? You should never think of yourself as a weak lamb, but always as a lioness, says Amma. The inner strength of women flows like a river. If the current of a river encounters a mountain, the river will flow around it. If there is a cluster of rocks, the river will flow through them. Sometimes it may flow under or over them. Similarly, feminine strength has the capacity to move towards the goal, overcoming any obstacles it encounters. Amma's vision regarding the role of women in various areas of life, including politics and governmental administration, shows a universal perspective, a vision born out of her inner realization of unity and peace. According to Amma, empowering women doesn't mean rebuffing men and settling old scores with them. On the contrary, Amma's is a vision of forgiveness, mutual understanding, and love. Only action based on such an expansive vision can carry humankind to both spiritual and material heights. We are so fortunate, I would say extremely fortunate, to have Amma, who is the testimony to this truth. No number of words can come to our help in thanking her. This feeling of gratitude and blessedness is beyond expression. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Amiteshwari.
As Amma said, there is nothing a woman can do if she let her mind to. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing Amma's views on womanhood. Next, we have Srimati Anju Bill, addressed as Bad Women of India. She is also a founding member of Women in India Social Entrepreneurship Network and the mentor of Saukyam Reusable Packs. We gladly welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Adria. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Swamini ji. That was so beautiful. I just have a few things to share. How I met Amma and the influence of Amma in my life. I just finished studying and I was working when we first met Amma. My husband and myself, we were living in the US. It was way back in 1999. And I think before meeting Amma, we were just, like other people our age. After meeting Amma, our lives turned around, 180 degrees, complete turn. And there was this desire to spend more and more time in her presence. We were so inspired by the ideals that Amma represented that 4 years later, we found ourselves in India, in Amma's ashram. So I've been here, I've been part of Amma's ashram for the past 18 years. 2003 April was when we had moved here. And perhaps our life is very different now in many respects. And then in some respects, perhaps not much has changed. Let me give you an example. So, when I met Amma, I was working for a management consulting firm. I had finished my MBA and MS from the University of Maryland at College Park. And we were working for this client in the US, which had retail stores. And they had hired our consulting firm to put in kiosks. So, if a customer walks into the store, and remember, this is about 20 years back. Internet shopping wasn't the big thing that it is today. So if a customer is walking into the shop and doesn't find a t-shirt, say, in their size or the color that they want to get. The store doesn't want to lose the customer. The store wants to provide this facility that the customer can walk up to the kiosk and place an order and have the t-shirt delivered to their address. And so I used to sit in those meetings and think to myself, oh, Amma, is this how the rest of my life is going to go? You know, am I going to be just spending my time and energy helping people who already have a lot of money make more money? And so before Amma was to come back to the US, 1 year later after we met her, 99 we met her, 2000. So 1 week before Amma was to come to the US, she comes every year for her annual tour. This was pre-corona days, of course. I didn't even discuss with my husband, I just resigned. I just quit my job. I was so sure that this is not what we want to do, this is not what I want to do. And we asked Amma if we could move to her ashram in India. So, long story short, a couple of years later, it still took us about 3 years to wind down everything. We moved to Amritapuri. So, I didn't want to sell t-shirts then, but now I find myself having to sell pads. So menstrual pads, I have to figure out how to. Amma's told us on quite a few occasions, somebody was telling me, if Amma tells you something, you shouldn't make her repeat it. She doesn't have to tell you the same thing 3 times in order for you to do it. But Amma has told us recently almost 3 times to, figure out how to use the internet, pay focus on online sales of pads. So what I wasn't doing, I didn't want to do 20 years ago. In some shape or fashion, it has come back. But I think you will agree, there is a big difference. Selling pads versus selling t-shirts. So Amma talks about, these bank accounts that we all have. And the women who work with us, the village women who produce the pads and who sell the pads. So they like to tell about this whenever any new person joins the team, that we all have 2 bank accounts. One is, of course, the bank account that we are familiar with, in which we are depositing money and we are withdrawing money. And then there is the other bank account in which we are depositing good deeds. And Amma refers to this so often, that perhaps if we are experiencing difficulties in this lifetime, we have taken a loan and we have come. Others may have made a lot of deposits of good deeds in their past lives. So very compassionately, Amma gave me a way to, in moving me from selling t-shirts to selling pads, just like the village women say, that we are making huge deposits in our bank accounts, in our karma bank accounts. So Amma's turned my life, 360 degrees. So on the subject of pads, I'll just take a couple of minutes. We very proudly say that our village women have produced and sold more than 50,000 reusable menstrual pads. This has helped prevent the emission of, this is helping prevent the emission of 40.6 tons carbon dioxide equivalent annually, year after year. That is the climate change impact that we have. And also this has helped eliminate 875 tons of non-biodegradable menstrual waste. And I think we have just gotten started. We are the world's first team to make reusable pads from banana fiber. When we started, Amma's words, Amma has guided us in every small detail. But Amma's words, that even though banana fiber comes from waste, it is agro waste. Even though banana fiber comes from waste, it is far too precious to be used once and thrown away. So very, very simply, Amma put forth the entire principle of sustainability, and people are talking about the circular economy and cradle to grave and so on. So Amma was like, you cannot make disposable pads. Until then, there were a few teams in the world making disposable pads from banana fiber. Nobody had made reusable pads. But with these words, Amma set us on the path to reusable pads. It's a very well-kept secret, I would say, that trees have to be cut down to make pads. Cellulose fiber is what is used to make pads, and instead banana fiber is something that offers an alternative, that we are not cutting trees. Amma gave it an even more of a sustainable angle, if it is possible. Amma wanted reusable pads produced from banana fiber. So, I am a reusable pads user for the past 20 years or so. I got my first set when I was living in the US, not banana fiber reusable pads, just normal cloth ones. I would have never imagined that so many women would make this shift. Well, it's because it's Amma's vision, and it is because of Amma, without any hesitation, telling women to switch. Amma even told our Prime Minister Modi about these pads in a webcast that I think happened about 2 years ago. So the same pads, Amma's vision is that the same pads that are exported, the same high quality pads that are exported, we do have online sales in nations such as UK, US, Germany, Kuwait as well. And some of these folks from there will be on a panel discussion that our team is hosting a little bit later today on our Facebook page. So Amma's vision is that the same high quality pad that is exported to all these nations is what is made available to in the most remote rural areas of India. Having spent a lot of time in villages, having traveled to villages in about 20 states of India, we saw firsthand how a lot of health and education related problems can be traced to this one factor. Fix this one factor, lack of products for menstrual hygiene, and so many positive outcomes can result. So I thank the Ayuth team for organizing this, for the chance to listen to so many inspiring women I look up to, I draw a lot of inspiration from, and so many of you on this call, my pranams to all. Thank you so much. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your beautiful experience with Amma on this day and how Amma guided you throughout your journey. Moving on, we have Dr. Priya Nair, Assistant Professor at Department of Gastroenterology in Amrita Institute of Medical Science, Kochi. A hearty welcome, ma'am.
Namaskar to everybody. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. I am honored to be here with all of you. I hope I'm audible. I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
So essentially, we're all sharing stories of the one blessing that's common to all of us, our most beloved Amma. It's International Women's Day, but I believe that this day shouldn't only be focused around women. It should actually be about inculcating those feminine qualities of compassion, patience, and selflessness in all of us, irrespective of our gender. I think that the one biggest problem that youth face today, especially women, is a lack of role models. For most people, life becomes this series of disappointments, because the moment we start to look up to somebody or rely on somebody for guidance, we are often let down in some way or the other. And as time passes, mutual weaknesses surface, and we continue this endless search for some kind of direction or inspiration. And this is one of the reasons why all of us on this call, all of us are so fortunate, because irrespective of when and where we meet Amma, Amma is the ultimate role model. Amma gives us a purpose and a greater goal. I had the incredible fortune to live with Amma since I was 4 years old, and I don't really have a story to share with you about meeting Amma because I don't really know a time before that. I was actually homeschooled, and the first time that I left the ashram, immediate ashram atmosphere, was when I was 16 and I started medical school. And it was a complete culture shock for me. And I remember you just meet your friends and you ask each other, why did you come to medicine? Why are you going to do medicine? And everybody, they have their answers. Some people said, my parents were doctors. Some even had family hospitals. Some wanted to have have a good job with good money. Some said, I didn't like math. I didn't like mathematics, so I took medicine. And you won't believe it, but there were even some that said that some girls said, I want to marry a doctor so I can have a comfortable life. So if I have an MBBS degree, it's so much easier. So these were so many reasons why. But one thing I noticed that nobody said was, we want to help people. And as somebody that had that, for whatever reason, that fortune to grow up in Amma's ashram, Amma had inculcated that attitude of compassion in everybody in the ashram. And we were made to understand that it wasn't actually what you did. You could be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, an artist, a dancer. It didn't matter. The only thing that was important was to do our actions with an attitude of selflessness. Not only for the sake of others, but because that was the only way that we would ever find lasting happiness. So when I spoke to all of my, to-be classmates, it really shocked me. And I've thought about it a lot, and when you really think about it, it's not because I was greater or more intelligent than anybody. In fact, I'm convinced that most of them are much more intelligent than me. But I feel that it boils down to the fact that they may not have had that role model. We see a skilled doctor and you think, okay, I want to be a doctor. Or you see a person that's a good businessman and you think, okay, I want to be a businessman to be wealthy like him. But how many of us actually see a truly compassionate person and think, I want to be exactly like them? Why? It's merely because there are so few role models who inspire this selflessness within people. Some of you may have heard, Shri Krishna says, I have nothing to gain in the three worlds, yet I act. Because if I don't act, others will also stop acting. And it's the exact same thing with Amma. Amma has nothing to gain. And for no apparent reason, Amma just loves. And Amma loves so fearlessly because if Amma doesn't love, then how will we ever know what it means to love that selflessly? How will we learn that, great, undeniable truth that compassion is the only way to find that lasting peace and happiness? For those of you who have not yet met Amma, if you just watch Amma's darshan for mere 15 minutes, it will completely redefine your understanding of selflessness. Amma shows us that, in the midst of all the chaos in the world, there's so much good in each and every living being. It's just that we have to have the eyes to see it. She teaches us that equally as important as it is to awaken passion, we need to awaken compassion. And that attitude that Amma has of selflessness, it's almost infectious. A small attitude or gestures of kindness, Amma tells us that it doesn't take so much to change the world. It's just the tiny little things we do. You can watch darshan and see that change in so many people. You see these little children, they bring their little piggy banks with whatever little coins they've collected and they tell Amma, use it for the orphanage. I don't know how many of you may have seen in Amma's brochures and all, but there's so many pictures of handicapped Japanese students on wheelchairs. They come and even in the rain, they build houses. And why? What makes them do that is that role model that they see inside Amma's constant 24-hour a day service to the poor. Amma, I'd like to end with a small example that Amma gives. There's a beautiful story Amma says about a statue in Germany of a man that represents God. He's standing with his arms outstretched and the sign reads, "Come into my arms." So during the Second World War, these arms were blown off in a bomb. And after the war finished, the villagers, they wanted to rebuild the statue. But they didn't know it's such a huge statue. How are we going to rebuild it? But one village elder says, there's no need to rebuild the arms. Just change the sign. So when they asked, how are you going to make it make sense? This has to mean it's God. So he said, no, just write, my arms through you. So all of us in this group, all students of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, all Ayudh, all men, women, irrespective of gender, race, creed, religion, we are all Amma's arms. And the fact that Amma has embraced millions of people around the world, that itself is a miracle beyond miracles. But I truly believe that that's just the tip of the iceberg. All of us, we are Amma's arms, and we are slowly learning by following Amma's example to slowly open our arms as well. And I pray that each and every one of us make best use of this infinitely golden opportunity we have and try to follow in those divine footsteps, in the footsteps of the greatest role model this world has ever seen. I offer my words at the holy feet of my most beloved Amma, Om Amriteshwari Namaha.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your views on importance of compassion in life through our role model, Amma. Coming up, we have Rajni ma'am, a member of Management Committee of Nirbhaya Mahila Samakhya Society, Kerala. Nirbhaya is a shelter home for girls who have dropped out or live in unsafe conditions. She is the director Jan Shikshan Sandan, Idukki from 2006 onwards. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaskar. My greetings to every one of the Ayudh members, my fellow speakers and others who have joined this virtual meet. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me go straight to my topic. The thousands of women in Amrita Shri self-help groups who take their inspiration from Amma. I don't have to introduce Amma, but yet I would love to talk about her. Amma is a Sadguru who reaches out to millions. She uplifts each one of us from where we stand and guides us to ultimate inner freedom. As we all know, she is also a most inspiring humanitarian leader. Every year, Amma travels all over India. Many among us have gone to at least a few of her programs. There, she meets millions of women from the rural heartland. They pour out their heart to her. They lay down their burden on her shoulders. They tell her about their emotional and financial struggles and their inability to lead a life of dignity. Amma's compassion towards them has overflowed as the Amrita Shri SHG network, a self-help group for women. It now covers more than 21 states and it has a membership of more than 2 lakh women. For many years now, we have seen how every one of these 2 lakh women receive a check and a beautiful sari from Amma on her birthday as her gift to them. You can just imagine the delight of these women as Amma personally hands over the checks and saris to many of them as she travels throughout India. The majority of Amrita Shri members are very poor and vulnerable, both emotionally and financially. Financially. Let me tell you about one story. I met Anita 3 years back, and she told me her story of how Amma and her Amrita Shri made her into the strong and giving person that she is today. When Anita's son was 5 years old, her husband died. A sad, lonely Anita, isolated by her in-laws, yet totally dependent on them, was forced to ask them, beg them, even to buy books for her son or a bindi for herself. Then one day, she noticed a group of women getting together on the same road that she was living in. And on an impulse, she just walked in and she saw this big picture of Amma, garlanded with fresh flowers, with a little lamp in front of her. Those women were starting an Amrita Shri self-help group in the neighborhood, a self-help group of 20 women, and Anita joined it. And this was the beginning of a new life for Anita. And now let me tell you something about Amrita Shri. I'm sure all of you must know it, but Amrita Shri is a completely unique concept envisioned by Amma to make women secure financially and to teach them skills to make a living for themselves. One essential component of an SHG is the money, though it is minimal, that each woman will have to save regularly and put into the common SHG pool. This is the first time that many of these women start saving money on their own and in their own name in a systematic manner. Now, many Amritashri SHGs come together to form a cluster, and their money is pooled together to become their common asset. So, even if one SHG has only a savings of 2,000 rupees a month, a cluster will have the combined savings of maybe 100 SHGs, and it will come to 2 lakhs a month, which is a very big amount. See how Amma has imagined such a beautiful concept of women becoming financially secure through her SHGs. Now, Amma's SHG women who are in genuine need of money for medical emergencies, for educating their children, for building a home or a toilet, for marrying their children, etc., can tap into the combined savings of the cluster. You know that they are poor women. They will have no collateral, no security, and they will be refused a loan by any bank they approach, even if they have the guts and the ability to go through the difficult process of applying for a loan. But they will receive a loan from Amritashri, and only the other members of their SHG group need to stand security for them. It is a system, a beautiful system based on trust, empathy, and group accountability. So, our Anita received a loan to build a home and started living in her own home. She took up a job peeling prawns and repaid the loan. Her friend Dhanya, in the same SHG, learned to be a good tailor from one of the many vocational courses offered by Amaji Labs. Dhanya bought a machine with the loan she took, set up a small shop in her home, and repaid the loan on time. You know what Anita says? She says the money gave her independence, and the compassion and friendship which she received from the group gave her inner strength and confidence. And the biggest thing she recounts is the love and reassurance that Amma gives her and the connections that she feels with others. She told me, you meet people with many problems and suddenly you don't feel alone. You become bigger than yourself. Suddenly you become a giver. The last time I met Anita, she told me about how Amma has advised their group to build a home for the poorest among their members from their collective savings. There have been many spiritual personalities who have taught us about the oneness of the Creator with creation, but Amma, our Divine Mother, acts upon this great truth. She flows as a river of love, constantly giving of herself to heal the sorrows of the world. She inspires us to awaken to our infinite potential, to the innate qualities of motherhood within us, such as love, empathy, and patience. These are the qualities that she evokes in the Amritashri women. Love, empathy, and patience are qualities that will truly empower and liberate us. Let us pray to Amma to allow each one of us to channel our energy and our resources to play an active part in Amma's projects, an expression of her compassion and care for the world. Om Amateshwari Namaha. Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing such inspiring stories of how Amma helped and changed the lives of thousands of women through Amritashri. Next, we have Dr. Manisha, Dean International Programs, Professor and Director of Amrita Wireless Networks and Application. She heads the UNESCO Chair for Experiential Learning for Sustainable Innovations and Development at Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. She is honored as one among the top 100 researchers in India with the title India's Most Prolific Paper Publishers. We welcome you, ma'am.
Shivaya, one and all. It's indeed my privilege to see each of you, to interact with each of you. And it's a golden opportunity which each one of us are getting to hear about Amma and how Amma has changed our life. And I'm very thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk about how Amma has touched my life and millions of others' life also. It's a journey which started way back. As Priya narrated, I may not be able to say that when I came and when I saw Amma. From the day when I am born, part of the family, Amma's family, being Amma's uncle's daughter, and then later married to Amma's brother. I think that is one part which I may miss to discuss. I will not be able to discuss, but with all this, you may think that I know a lot about when Amma was on Amma's illness. No, I lack that pace because even though I had the fortune to be in Amma's family as Amma's uncle's daughter, my father was very strong communist. So I have been brought up in the communist background. And later stage, slowly I got into Amma's spiritual path. And that just because of Amma's mere blessing, I got that opportunity. During this transition, and while this is happening during your teenage period, it was struggle to understand who is Amma, where the change is coming. And without my knowledge, these transitions happened. I would like to narrate the different barriers Amma had helped me to overcome in my life, which you are also facing at some point or other, some of these points at least. While I was studying way back, I was always into the studies and I want to study and dive. See, long back before Facebook came in, it was Orkut. So if you see my profile in the Orkut at that time, it says study and die. So that was the only intention in my mind. And I got married in the 3rd semester of Bachelor of Engineering. And I came to this holy place at that moment when I was just little over 18 years. Very new, still teenager mind, trying to see what is happening around. And I'm still seeing Amma in my mind as a sister. So it took, I don't know how to explain when did it change. I really don't know to say. But while I came here, inherently in my mind, the only thing which I wanted was I wanted to learn, I wanted to study. And nobody, neither my parents nor my husband knew that. And without my knowledge, Amma is the only person who knew it. And because of that, even today, I think I am learning. Even though now maybe I want to stop it, but Amma is not allowing. So it goes on and on the learning phase. So the first barrier which I had to move on was from the communist angle to the spiritual angle. How do you see everyone as one? How do you see everyone as part of you? So it is a very tough transition, but Amma has stepped me each point. I used to be very open and straightforward. If something comes to my mind, I will just speak it out. I don't think who is standing there because I think that I believe in what I am saying. But then Amma slowly made me understand each word has an imprint on others' heart. And it's very difficult to remove these bad imprints or strong imprints which you make, even though you may be right. You have to cover it with the required polish so that the other person within their level you have to see. Amma always tells, if you have to see a frog as a frog and an elephant as an elephant. So each and every instance I have gone through, Amma has slowly trained me. I used to have big anger problem. And one day I went and asked Amma during a darshan, I said, why did you make me marry your brother? When I have so much anger problem and he is going through the trouble. Amma laughed at it. And Amma said, next time when you get the anger, you just imagine that I am sitting next to you, looking with the face tilted like this to you with a smiling face. The moment you look there for 1 second, 2 seconds, and then you try to talk to the person. I started practicing and that gave me the patience now to handle different, even though I have not reached the level what Amma wants, but it's not small, that Amma's instruction, when I tried to work out, her grace has flown, and I know that how much I have changed over that. So the barrier of handling the situations, the barrier of understanding other people, Amma has slowly moved. And as you know that in Kerala, when you are a woman, you are a girl, and you got married, the first and the foremost thing they think that you married, okay, you have child, you live. That's it. Everything else in your life is gone. Whatever ambitions you had. But in my case, it was completely different. I got married on a Republic Day in 1997. So basically, I came into the ashram site fully into that day. And the moment I came in here, I think my world has changed. I got an extended family. And that family was a support system for my change, which are all Amma's children who are also going through the change. So each of us going through each instances we went in. And I think including my father, who wanted me to learn a lot, study a lot, decided in his mind that finished her studies. But Amma was the strong pillar who made sure in the family circle to make sure that my studies are never obstructed. And the day I came into Amma, as any other girl comes into Kerala house, you have to go with the lamp into your family house. And I entered into Amma's room. That's how I entered into the ashram with the lamp. First thing after I did Namaskaram, the first thing what Amma had given me was today's Amrita School of Business brochure. This is what I just got married lady coming into Amma's room, and this is what Amma gave, and Amma said, B.Tech is not enough. See where she is taking me, and I was shocked. She knows me, and I think she knows where to prick me or where to shoot me so that I understand. Slowly I start the journey. And in the meanwhile, I started becoming very close. I wanted to be always running behind Amma, all those things. And then what happened? Internally I said, I cannot have a baby until I finish the education. So I told my husband also, education is important for me. Let this finish. And there also it went wrong, or whatever it is. In the 7th semester, I became pregnant, and 8th semester, the final year of your B.Tech, you have the child. So I have gone through the barriers of being a woman. After marriage, you still study. After marriage, you have a child while you are educating. But Amma never allowed me to stop education at any point. And I was studying mechanical engineering production. Those who are of engineering graduates who know that, because if you do that, you have all these things. You have to climb the boiler, you have to build the gear, you have to do the diesel engine, everything with the full stomach I have done. Because I asked Amma what I can do, and she said, whatever you feel you can do, go and do it. So she gave me the strength to face those and never to run away from that. And then I thought, okay, it finished everything. Then she said, no, you have to go for your management, which was when my son is 1.5 years. Now the test is with the mother. You have a son of 1.5 years, and how do you manage leaving him somewhere in Amritapuri and then you go to Etimade campus and learn? She gave me that strength to move forward, and every step, I still remember my kid, when he comes to drop me, he will cry, and one day Amma caught him, and Amma said, this is 1.5-year-old son. Amma said, you should not cry. Your mother is learning for the society. What she learned will benefit the society. And I still remember the kid will come to Etimade campus when he is leaving. He just closes his mouth like this, 1.5 years, because he understood that Amma said not to cry, and he just holds it like this. That's how she makes the sankalpa to make it happen. Another major important thing I still remember, I feel like my teachers who are also Amma devotees, one of them have already passed away, one of them is still there. It is SKM sir, who was actually taking classes, and Amma came to Nallampalayam, and I wanted to go for the program. So I was skipping the class and trying to jump into the bus which is going for Amma's program. He caught me on the road and he said, where are you going? I said, I want to see Amma, I'm going. And Amma said, what is the job Amma gave you? Amma asked you to learn, isn't it? You first finish that and then go for it. So each and every person around me, Amma was trying to train me in the way I should interact with the world. And because there are Amma people, everybody was getting trained in different forms from Amma. And from there, I entered into the PhD program. As usual, everybody does any PhD research in the area which they are very confident. But compared to others. For me, there also the challenge came in where Amma said to go and do the research of landslide detection and early warning. And that was like a shock treatment. And the story is like this. Amrita has started as a university in 2003, and we got this project, the prestigious project. The first time India is getting a European Commission funded project in 2006, which is we are in 3 years age. And then we got this project happily. The Vice Chancellor and myself went to Amma and told we got this project. Amma asked, what are you going to do with the funding? So Dr. Venkat said that, okay, we will use this fund, do simulations and do the work accordingly and publish the papers like any other professor who does. Straightforward, Amma gave the answer. If that is the case, return the fund. It was the shock to us. Why do Amma say that? Why? We asked Amma, what do you want? Please let us know how do you. Amma said, in a lifetime, very rarely you get the opportunity to save life. Go and find a landslide prone area and deploy the system. Then I got really frightened because if you have to deploy the system, there are different domain expertise has to be brought in. So to escape, I said, Amma, the fund is not enough to do that. She smiled at me and she said, I will keep apart the money which I kept for building houses for poor. 100 houses money will be kept apart for this project, and I will put ashram residents to work on this project for you. Until today, that project is funded from ashram side. There is ashramites all the time working along with the researchers. And Amma kept the word, and that is the strongest support you can get if you think Amma is the chancellor. But on a mother's side, she's trying to show me what is the capacity inside me, how I can bring it out. When I am thinking as a barrier that I don't know the domain. I told Amma, landslide, I don't know. I am a mechanical engineer and then did MBA. How can I do landslide? And I said, can I do a collaboration? Let others learn landslide and then I will make the system. And I said, no, if you have to make the system, first you learn the domain and then build the system. Then come up with the design of the system. After that, I will allow you for the collaboration. So she always put the path where you move forward and do. So every barrier with Amma hand holding me was trying to break it. Another thing, major thing which happened is while we were doing landslide, we were men and women were there. And especially in Kerala, women is not going to do too much of this outside work. I have a kid, I have a family, everything. Okay, for the deployment, Amma said that all of us has to go. And all of us goes from here. Amma sends us with the food. Amma sends us with all the coats because you have to go into the cold climate. And we all have to stay on top of mountain and do 3-4 months on top of the mountain. Like a man, whatever they do, maybe a little more than that the women group has done. And every day, at least every day or once in 2 days or 3 days, Amma will call and make sure that we are fine. And she will guide us wherever we had the research question, because there is nowhere you have a literature of how to deploy these sensors because nobody has done, because it's a world first deployment. So it's completely guided by Amma to do that project. So the PhD itself comes from complete guidance from Amma. But the process was so smooth because of Amma's support, because of Amma's motivation. And the way Amma has, made us do things, when we now look back only, we will understand that so many barriers, dealing with government, dealing with the public, dealing with all the political parties, then you have to deal with all other agencies like government, like the police, the collector, everybody. You have to go and talk, you have to deal with them in different forms. And actually, I am a very introvert person who doesn't want to talk to anybody. And she was basically transitioning me from the introvert to an extrovert. I think now nobody will believe if I say I am an introvert. And then from there, she slowly moved me to work on international collaborations when I don't want to talk to anybody. And I landed for Amma's US program in 2007. First thing she did is next day she asked me to go to UC Berkeley to present my project. I'm trembling, because they're the top university. And she said, go and do it. And that's the year all the UC system I presented Amrita's research. You imagine that a girl hailing from a village who doesn't want to talk to anybody, who wants to be very nice to keep there, she just broke that barrier to take forward. From there, she has turned me to look into the Live in Labs program where we work with villages, 101 villages, and taking students and faculty, motivating them to do the work. So when I have to go these villages, Amma will ask me every project which I have done. Never Amma said no need to go because you are a woman. Amma said you go. I still remember when the Delhi rape case problem was happening. At some point I felt like how do I go to Delhi and travel, because I always travel alone. So at some point I told her, Mama, how do we do it? Me, Bhavani, everybody travels alone. Amma said, what is the problem? Go, what's it? After some time I realized, why did I even ask? When you have Amma there, you don't have to worry any of those things, and then just... So each and every circumstances, whether we know or not, Amma was supporting and changing those things. And as we were working in the village, I was seeing the women, the way they were working. They wakes up at 4 a.m. and work throughout. Go for agriculture, cook everything. They do, first they will have like a buttermilk in the morning, and then they go work. 10 o'clock they come back, cook for the husband, give everything, again go back to the field, come back, again cook, again go back. They are like non-stop working, and the men is sitting there and reading the newspaper, hearing something. I was getting irritated by seeing those things. But the woman was handling it with smile and doing everything. And in the night, so we were working with them. In the night when I was trying to sleep, one of this lady came and said, I want to talk to you. And she was talking to me, and at the end she was holding my hand, and actually like a massaging she was doing, okay, just slowly. Then finally she just hold and then said, Chechi, your hand is so smooth, my hand is so rough. This is what she said. I said, you do work for the world, I'm not doing, that's why it is soft and yours is rough. I escaped with that statement. But when I think that is the day Amma had given me an opportunity to understand how women in the world is working hard to sustain their family, to sustain their community. And their strength, the strength which is built on their heart, is what is actually maintaining this whole value system. That is maintaining the future system. And that's what also Amma is teaching us, to throw away all the anger, lust, everything in us, and then develop the heart, so that we are able to actually have all the people around us to have the light and love. And all these things has made me to understand or slowly imbibe the concepts of spirituality, and made me understand spirituality as the foundation. And using that, Amma has basically trained to build compassion-driven research, not only to me, even to the students. So Amma has trained me how to talk to the students, trained me how to present things. Even like, when presentation, Amma had taken a pen and show like this, like a small kid who is an LKG kid, how to do it. My first early warning news which came in all media, Amma actually took a hand and showed me, do like this. And I did this. You can see a pen going, which is basically directed by Amma. So that's the level Amma comes to build us, to improve us. And that has actually, the way it has changed, and without my knowledge, the whole thing has changed. And so Amma was all the time motivating and empowering us to become women without cuffs and only with heart, which is always open to receive everybody. And that has helped us to throw away the barriers, go through the uphill with complete grace from Amma. And I hope each one of us get this opportunity to have Amma's grace and then serve the society and do what Amma wants. Nothing more any of us wants. Let Amma guide us. Let Amma be with us. Let us be Amma's children. I'm sure.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing how Amma motivated you throughout your journey of life and helped you shape yourself. Your words motivated us a lot. Thanks a lot for all the energy and inspiration you passed on. We all are so lucky to have Amma by our side to guide us throughout our life. Moving on, we have Dr. Geeta Kumar, Head of Microbial Genetic Lab at Amrita School of Biotechnology, Amritapuri, also a former employee at Scepter Corporation. Welcome, ma'am.
Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity to listen to such inspiring talks from my sisters and share my thoughts on this very special occasion. I've been associated with the Amrita School of Biotechnology here at our Amritapuri campus. where I'm involved in both teaching as well as research activities for the past 15 years or so, since its inception in 2005. Even though I was born in Kerala, I met Amma halfway across the globe in the United States, where I was doing my PhD there in biochemical genetics. I heard about Amma through my parents, who met her in the late 1980s and totally fell in love with her. My father, who was also a professor and head of the Department of Commerce and Economics in a private college in Bombay, would always send me Amma's tour schedules, her US tour schedules, and encourage me to go and see and experience Amma for myself. And finally, after getting permission from my PhD mentor, I took some time off and met Amma in Dallas in 1990, over 30 years ago. And it has indeed been a life-altering experience and has had a very profound positive impact on my life. I can honestly say that the person I am today is only because of Amma. Any goodness because of her presence in my life. I don't know where I would be without Amma, and all I know is that I cannot imagine a life without Amma in it. Amma is the most perfect teacher, the best teacher ever. That is one who teaches by example. After meeting Amma, I was very drawn to her and I wanted to spend more time with her in her presence. And so on one such visit, I would try and take some time off from my PhD research and come here and spend all the time at the ashram. And on one such visit, Amma was out and about with us, a group of us, walking in the ashram premises, when she realized that the public toilets that are frequently used by the people who come to see Amma were not cleaned properly. And without a single word, Amma just took a bucket and a broom and soap and started cleaning the toilets. Seeing Amma clean the toilets, there was a flurry of activity by all of us. There was a huge fight, kind of like a mini World War III, over buckets and mops and brushes. We were all fighting with each other to get hold of any one of these utensils to go try and clean the bathrooms, when all of us had actually seen those bathrooms just a little while ago and really not done anything about it. However, when Amma started cleaning by setting an example, she inspired all of us to do the same. Teaching by example is a very powerful way to drive the point home, and indeed it is Amma's hallmark. One of the research interests at the School of Biotechnology, where I'm a professor, was understanding the molecular basis of wound healing. Like, why is there a delayed wound healing in diabetes? This is one of the projects that we were working on. And Dr. Banerjee and some of us, faculty members, who's a Professor Emeritus, Dr. Ashok Banerjee, Dr. Bipin, who's a dean, myself, we were all by Amma discussing this research project because, as most of you would know, Amma takes a very keen interest and is very passionate about research. And whenever we have any kind of problems, issues, no matter what stream we are in, whether it's engineering or biotechnology or law, we always go to Amma with our problems, and she always gives us very elegant solutions. So while we were discussing this research problem with Amma casually mentioned that cashew nut shell liquid is often used to heal wounds, especially in rural settings. So we then decided to investigate this gem of information we got from Amma further. So we went to the Kollam cashew factory, which is right in our backyard, and got this cashew nut shell liquid, which is actually a waste product of this industry. Now you all might be wondering, where am I going with this story? So to cut a long story short, and in the interest of time, what we found out was that we isolated a compound from this cashew nut shell liquid called anacardic acid, which not only enhances wound healing, which is what we were interested in, but it also inhibits a whole variety of enzymes called metalloproteinases, which are biomarkers in a variety of cancers. So this opened up a whole new area of research, resulted in invaluable collaborations with top-notch scientists from all across the world, and led to very high impact factor journal papers and publications. Just one gem of information from Amma, and look at the domino effect it has. I have always been interested in research, but Amma has profoundly influenced the way I look at research, I approach research. Research, as we all know, is trying to understand the whys and the wherefores. Why does it work this way? Why not this way? What is the underlying principle? What makes something work the way it does? But what Amma taught me was that Research should be driven by compassion. And what do I mean by this? That is research with a societal impact. Research that addresses the unmet needs in our society, which are many, and actually benefits humanity. Whether it's the wireless sensor network for landslide warning that Dr. Manisha mentioned, or OceanNet for security of fishermen at sea, or providing clean drinking water to rural communities, it's all research with a common underlying thread to betterment of humanity. And inspired by our Amma, our Chancellor, compassion-driven research with a strong societal impact is a dominant theme underlying Amrita University's vision and priorities. I have had the immense grace and good fortune to travel with Amma on her innumerable world tours and be beside her as she receives people in her very own unique manner of darshan. And I've had the opportunity to witness extremely successful professionals from various walks of life, great leaders, politicians, outstanding artists, famous actors and actresses, performers, musicians, intelligent bureaucrats, brilliant scientists, sportsmen, sportswomen, you name it. And without fail, without any exception, they have all been inspired by Amma's presence. Now, when we look at it from a worldly standpoint, they're all very, very successful and rich, at the pinnacle of success in their own respective careers. But they're still searching for something, which is why they're coming to see Amma. That elusive something, something that is missing from their successful lives. And what is that? That, as Amma says, is the art of giving back. Because as Amma says, it's only in giving that you truly become rich. Let's look at one such example, a very famous example, Mark Benioff, founder and CEO of Salesforce. We've all heard of Mark. He was at a very successful point in his career when he felt that the same something was missing from his life. And so he took a leave of absence and traveled to India with his friend. In the course of his travels, he met Amma and he was so amazed and inspired by that encounter. You can all look in YouTube and you will see this video. It's very famous. And his friend and him, they discussed all their grandiose business plans with Amma, the future of technology, going to the cloud, etc., etc. And Amma gave them, she's very compassionate, she gave them a whole hour. And Amma patiently listened to everything they said. And then at the end of that hour, Amma said, remember, while you're making a success of your life, do not forget to do something for others. And this was something that sank so deeply, that made such a deep impression in Mark Benioff's mind, that he went back and as they had dreamt, they came up with this huge, successful company, but he didn't forget what Amma had told him. And he came up with a business model where 1% of the revenue, 1% of the product, and 1% of the employee time is for the community, that is giving back to community. And in this process has contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars back to the community. And a lot of other businesses have also followed this particular model. And he continues his successful trend. Amma often says that we are all interconnected, that our actions influence each other. All our actions influence each other in subtle as well as not so subtle ways. What she beautifully puts as the inner net, not the internet, but the inner net. And so as young scientists, engineers, researchers, teachers, as you stand at the threshold of your lives, I would like to share with you some of the precious gems that Amma has taught me. So let us remember Amma's words, that compassion is the underlying substratum of humanity. Let us remember that life is not simply about money, power, position. I'm not saying that you don't need all of this. Definitely go for all of it. But always keep in mind that it has a higher goal. And remember that real happiness and contentment does not depend on how much money you make, as you can see by all these people, but rather it depends on how much you give back to society, to the needy, in your own unique manner. And therefore, I strongly urge you to keep these gems in your mind, these precious gems that Amma has given, as you set out building your own personal success stories. And I wish you the very best in your lives. I offer these words at my most beloved Amma's lotus feet. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experience of how Amma as a mentor inspired you and Amma's interest on research for society. Coming up, we have Srimati Sri Priya, mentor and alumni, Team Shakti, board member of Black Hoodie Organization. We heartily welcome you, ma'am.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, yeah. Yeah, so first of all, I feel extremely privileged and humbled to be a speaker today because most of the other speakers whom we have today are really established and who are in the service of Amma for a really long time and with thousands and thousands of experience which are really precious to share. I'm actually rather new in this journey. I met Amma only since 10 years when I actually joined Amrita University for my studies. I have heard about Amma before, but I never had interest or time to look more or a chance to look in depth more about who she is. Before getting into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Sri Priya, and I graduated from Amrita University in 2014, and I'm an alumni. Right now, I work in Germany as a security analyst in cybersecurity for Siemens. As mentioned in the introduction, I also mentor students. Actually, one Team Shakti, which is a cybersecurity team from Amrita, and also part of a few other women-only groups in cybersecurity, where we are trying to promote more women into cybersecurity. But I don't really plan to talk much about cybersecurity or anything like that. I would like to focus more on how Amma, as a woman leader, has influenced me in my journey as a beginner. So I come from a small town from Palakkad district in Kerala, and as a kid, I did not really have any big dream or ambition in my life. It was pretty much like I wanted to do what everybody else is doing. So everybody was joining for BTech right after their +2. So I also did the same, gave some entrance exams. And that's how I ended up in Amrita. And I should say the best thing that interested me to join Amrita was the swimming pool in the brochure. I did not even know much about computer science either. But after I joined Amrita, I got to hear a lot about Amma from various people. And everybody had a personal story to share about Amma and how Amma changed their life, like upside down, and everything became different and so on. So Amma was doing a US tour at that time, so I couldn't meet her personally. But it was kind of like a build-up that she's like a celebrity, and I was really looking forward, okay, when is she coming? I have to meet her. And one fine day she arrived, and it was Bhajan's time. I ran to the stage just to see how she looks like in person and so on. But, well, there was nothing special. She was like really small, sitting on the stage, singing bhajan with a lot of devotion. But later on, I got plenty of chances to meet Amma. So those who have been to the university in the pre-COVID period, you must know that it's very easy to get a token. You just ask around and you can directly go and meet Amma. And I must say that in all the universities around the world, this is probably the only place where the chancellor is so accessible to a first-year student. I mean, I haven't even met the secretary of my school with very less number of students back in Palakkad. But I could meet the chancellor of such a big organization like Amrita University whenever I wanted. And that's how Amma spends her time, most part of her life. She's just sitting there listening to people from all parts of the world who come to her and gives time listening to them and understanding their problems and so on. So during my first times, I would just go to her, ask. Actually probably did not ask something in the first few darshans because I was just nervous. But after that, one day I wanted to ask a question. My mom at home used to tell me that you should wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning so that everything just register in your head and then you become like excellent and successful in your life. And that's very difficult for me. I cannot wake up that early, early at all. So I wanted to go and ask Amma what is the best time to study so that I get good grades. So I went to Amma and then I said, yeah, basically, is there something like a Brahma Muhurtam or something when I should study to get good grades? And then she pulled my cheeks and then she said, it doesn't matter what time you are studying. It's the love and the passion with which you have for the subject that really matters. And that's actually very true. When I thought about it, even if it's like a really late afternoon, you had a lot of food, you don't have any problem watching a movie which you really like because you're passionate about it and you like it. So if you are able to develop that kind of passion for your subjects, then you can definitely learn it without any effort. You don't really have to put so much effort into learning. And that was really, yeah, and lots of so many other moments like that. So when she gave me time like this to interact, it became like more like a habit that I go always with some question. Even if I did not have anything to ask, I try to make up some question and then just go to her and ask. And she's always very excited to have students with some questions. And she gave time and talked to us till we are satisfied. Yeah, so as this journey was continuing, someday I read Amma's biography. Yeah, I got Amma's biography and happened to read it. And I got to know that as a woman, when she was my age or even younger, she had so many barriers to face. In her journey, she did not have any external support from anyone else, not even her parents who supported her strongly in the initial days. She had financial barriers. She was not born in a very rich family. She's from a very poor family. And she had educational barriers. She couldn't complete her studies at the formal education level, which we all have. She had the gender barriers. So she's a woman and there were a lot of barriers put on her, societal norms that a woman should do this and not that and so on. As a child, when she was hugging people, it was not very well received in the locality here. And she had, even social barrier, like, she's not born in an upper caste. She had all sorts of barriers that someone could imagine. And still, she made her way forward without, now she has got multiple PhD degrees and awards and universities. She's taking care of so many schools, and even the celebrities and the most respected people respect her, come to get a darshan from Amma. And the most fundamental thing that she had is the faith in God and the love and compassion for the people and her fearlessness. These are the three things that she had to hold on, that was sufficient for her to move forward and inspire so many other people. It was also a point in time in my life where I was looking for like a role model, someone whom I could look up to. And Amma just came into my life at that point, and that's how I placed her initially. And I had zero background in spirituality and what a guru is. I still don't know much, but yeah. Actually, during the end of my third year, my mentor at the university encouraged me to apply for an internship. And I applied for that and I got it. And this internship is actually in Israel. And I don't even know where Israel is in the globe map because I haven't traveled anywhere outside Kerala. And I did not have a passport, and I'm actually in the third year of my BTech. And my parents never took a flight, so I was pretty sure they're not going to allow me to go anywhere outside. Any person whom I talk to, I would like to go for an internship in Israel. They told me, Israel, you do not have any other place. It's a war zone. Bomb blasts are happening there every day. And so many scary stories to say. And okay, then I was like, I'm not going. Maybe some other opportunities would come. But then my mentor at the university encouraged me that you should go and ask Amma. Maybe she's there. Maybe just go take a darshan and ask her this question. Then I said, all right, and I went to Amma. So I was just, everyone else had that first reaction, Israel. So I was expecting something like that from Amma. But then Amma did not have any, did not have any reaction on her face or surprise or something like that. She told me, yeah, you should definitely go. It's a really good place, and there are lots of good universities. You should definitely pursue this. And then she also told there are many children of Amma also in Israel. And all right, then something changed within me. So the fear and the confusion that I had within me changed. So I could make a decision. All right, I'm going. And then everything else was very clear. So I could convince my parents, my friends, everybody who told me or frowned upon me, oh, you should not go there. It's whatever. Once I was convinced within me, I was able to convince everyone else. And I got a passport, and actually 2 other friends also of mine got selected for the same internship. So we 3 went to Israel. And we also tried writing to some satsang groups, Amma's devotee groups in Israel, just in case we end up in some troubles, that we have someone to, get a contact and help us out. But as we reached Israel, we had a devotee waiting for us, just coming to us, running to us and hugging us and saying, hey, welcome, welcome. And it felt like a place where we have been already, or it felt more like a relative who is running to us, who has been waiting for you for really long. And she just took us home, she gave us food, and it felt like home. And it was also a great experience. I mean, the experience can go on. It's the first time that we are out of India trying to explore. We did a lot of blunders, but at the end, it's all experience. And in the same way, I could come back, and also I was encouraged to apply for more programs abroad and continue my studies in Europe and so on. And every time when I wasn't sure what decision to make, or if I was held back with some fears, I always had Amma, whom I could go and ask, and she removes the confusion in my mind, and I'm capable of taking the right decision. And my main message for all the students out there is that Amma is the precious gift that you all have at the university. Whether you explore all the canteens and hotels and restaurants around you or not, you should definitely not miss exploring Amma, because she can be a friend throughout your life and can bring the utmost change that every human being needs in your life, and give you the strength to do whatever you would like to pursue in your life. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say, and we have limited time. So all the best for all the students, and good luck.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your beautiful experience with Amma. Now, I would like to call upon Srimati Soumya Ravidas, currently working on doctoral studies at TU Eindhoven in the Netherlands. She is a postgraduate from Aalto University, Finland, and BTech graduate from Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here amongst all these well-achieved speakers who have contributed so much to the world under Amma's infinite blessings and guidance. For me, my journey with Amma, it started when I was 3 years old. I listened to Amma's bhajans and I used to dance for it. I even saw Amma from very far. But the fortune to receive Amma's embrace actually happened when I joined Amrita University in the year 2010, when I joined here for my BTech studies. And in the first year, I didn't really have, much idea of who Amma is or what she's doing. And all I knew was, okay, she's a humanitarian leader, and there are a lot of humanitarian projects that she's running. But there are two things that fascinated me, after I received Amma's darshan. The first thing is, I usually wake up very late in the morning, so I always bunk my first hour in the class. So I come, around this area, around the Bhajan Hall area, around 9:30 in the morning, and Amma, would be on stage starting her darshan. Then I come after the university, I come at 4 or 5 in the evening for tea. Amma is still on stage giving darshan. Then I finish my dinner, and yes, Amma is still on stage. And then, Amma leaves the stage at 3 in the morning. So it's like more than, 15, 16 hours of darshan. And this is the same thing that she's doing, like embracing people one after the other, listening to their pain, listening to their sorrow. And this deeply touched me. And the second thing is, when you are, with Amma sitting in Amma's side, you can see people, from various backgrounds. You can see people who are very poor, who don't have any income, and you can also see a Nobel Prize laureate sitting next to it. So everyone around Amma is equal. And this, really fascinated me because there's no difference between rich or poor, whether you're educated or not. For Amma, all are the same. And this was something that drew me more close to Amma. And I did not really have much idea about spirituality or anything, but I loved Amma, so wherever if Amma goes, I'll just run behind her. That was the main hobby I had while I was here. But as Sri Chris said, it was Amma who motivated us, to travel around the world, to go to Israel. And she was the one who also told me to go to Finland for my higher studies. And actually, it was through Amrita's international program, the exchange program, that I got a chance to be in Finland. It's a very cold place. When I left from Amritapuri, it was like plus 26 here. And when I reached Finland, it was minus 26. And this was like very extreme weather, that you deal with, and the culture is different, the people are different. But it was very fun and very challenging. And every single place that I have visited after that, we were invited for conferences, but at that time, we didn't have much of a money. And it was in all these places, even if it's the tiniest, remotest village in Europe or anywhere in the world, in Israel, we'll have a devotee there. We'll have Amma's children, who will be waiting for us, inviting us to their home. So this is something, as Amma's children studying at Amrita University, this is a very great fortune for us. Wherever we go, we'll have a family, and that's guaranteed. We'll never be stranded. And it was, Amma who motivated me, with each step with on my education. I remember I told Amma that I got a PhD position at TU Eindhoven, and Amma was 10 times more happier than me. She was beaming with joy, and she said, yes, you have to take it up, you have to do it. And then, that's how my PhD journey started. And, as you know, for any PhD students, the main job that we do is we write papers. We write scientific papers, and we publish them in conference. And sometimes, this paper writing process, it can, get a bit dry at times. If you're working on interesting problems and you have that drive, yes, you'll go on smoothly for a while. But sometimes, you might be stuck on some idea. It happened to me with one project that I worked on it for 6 months. But after that, I had to completely trash it and start from scratch. And this was a very huge difficulty and a huge mental barrier for me. To discard, my work. This is kind of an attachment that I had towards my work that I had to discard and start something new. And at some point, I felt, okay, what is the point in all these? Why do we have to publish papers? Who is going to read it? And this is kind of a low self-esteem and demotivated state that I was in. So I remember going to Amma and I asked her, what is the point in publishing papers, and then Amma told me something interesting. She said, we were relying on farming, years before, and it was only agriculture that India relied on. Had we been, contained, perfectly contained with farming and, saying that, okay, we'll do only farming for the rest of our lives, our nation wouldn't have progressed. So with each paper, it's a very small, but yet it's a significant scientific contribution that you're doing to a society. So for Amma, nothing is small. Everything is significant for her. And when you see things from that eagle's, viewpoint, it makes your life a lot more easier. And, you know that, okay, what you're doing is impactful. And also, Amma is, supporting you and Amma is guiding you. When you have that confidence, then you can really move forward in life. There were several, points in my life where, I was totally demotivated, procrastinating. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. But it was, Amma's guidance that actually inspired me to stay on the track. Now, there were two advices that Amma gave me that I always remember. Well, there were many, but the two of them, one is never to quit. And the second is, you may feel hatred within, but it's important that you show compassion. And this is something that has, made me a better human being, I believe. Because, there will be like tendencies to just quit and run away from things, when things get difficult or when you're thrown into difficult situations, you feel uneasy in the beginning and you just want to avoid the situation altogether. But that is not the solution. When you run away from one thing, life would throw a much bigger thing on your way. So the only way forward is through, and it's to move forward and to embrace and accept the situation and go forward in life. And the second point that Amma mentioned is that has helped me when dealing with a lot of people, and especially as a woman, when you work in the area of cybersecurity, especially abroad. In India, I don't know the situation, but in abroad, I'm the only female PhD student in my group. And at times, you feel intimidated by men, and it's very subconscious level. It's not that I'm afraid or anything. We are scientists, we share ideas, but it's a very subconscious level. Feel that. And it's Amma's advice, that really helped me, to be bold and not to quit, and to show compassion to others, even if they have some issues with you. You have to take the step to be compassionate, and when you open up your heart, and then more people will connect to you, and you can actually make this a very better place. So it was all through, for every single issue that I had in my life, from my health, from the spiritual point of view, and from the studies, with everything, Amma has personally taken care of it. And this is, it's important as students of Amrita that you really form that connection with Amma, because, when we were abroad, it's difficult to be away from family, in an unknown place. And it was Amma's children, who were our family, that was the only solace that we had. And also, being part of Amma's Europe tour and being able to talk to her, get her guidance. And this is the very rarest opportunity that you get as Amrita students. And I want to say that, whatever happens in life, we have to accept it and move forward. I remember Amma used to tell a story that, there was once a guru who asked the disciple, to go to beg in houses. So the disciple goes to one house, he may get a sadhya, a platter of food with, pudding and everything. In the second house, he may get some leftover food. In the third house, people may throw him away and shoo him and, call him bad words and, just say, okay, we don't have anything for you. So, you can see how, people may, you shouldn't expect anything from the world. And one thing that Amma teaches is, whatever situations you deal with, you accept it. You shouldn't have an attachment nor hatred, but you accept the situation and also live according to your dharma. And this is something, that's also very true when it comes to, research or, career or any work that you do, when situations that is not in your favor, you have to accept it and move forward. So my advice to all the students here is that try to go on stage and talk with Amma. And many people are afraid to talk to Amma, but it's the very simplest thing to do. Just go and sit beside her, and you will open up yourself, and that will happen on its own. And have that bond with Amma. For some, Amma may be a friend. For some, Amma may be a mother. But you can have your own unique relation with Amma, and that's important. And the second thing is, never quit and always move forward. Always have the confidence, because we have to wake up the inner power that is within us, the faith that is within us. And when we awaken that power within us, that is when we can call ourselves truly empowered women. And I really wish all of you move ahead with your life in a very fearless and bold way, and also be able to be associated with Amma all through your life. And may Amma shower her infinite grace and blessings on all of you. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am, for making this session interesting by sharing your beautiful experience in the ashram and how Amma guided you in moving forward with confidence. This International Women's Day, let's recognize and encourage the significance of women in our lives and in society, and inspire ourselves for greater future achievements, as we are the contributors to the home, society and nation. To deliver the vote of thanks, I invite Amrita ma'am.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Krishna. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of Amma. Happy Women's Day to everyone who have joined us. I truly feel privileged in addressing the vote of thanks for Amrita Shakti, Tales of Inspiration. The evening has been made very special by the inspiring tales of our wonder women speakers who have gathered here. Inspiration, a little seed of success when nurtured with dedication, hard work, grows into a mighty sturdy tree. Our beloved Amma, Sadguru Sri Mata Amritanandamayi Devi, herself is a prodigious stimulation, clearly showing us the way. As our speaker clearly mentioned, she encourages us to bring out a serving leader, a skillful worker, an attentive learner, an affectionate mother, a contributing nationalist, and much more in us through her glance, words, move, and whatnot. Time goes boundless when we share our inspiring moments with Amma. We talk with thousand tongues as if a special energy is flowing through us. Even then, all our speakers of the event very beautifully and patiently knitted their words in their given time to embrace and blanket us with the motivating tales with Amma. From bottom of my heart, I thank all our 8 matchless speakers who made it from their most busy schedule to share their time with us. I also thank the coordinator, member of Ayodhya Amritapuri, students, and each and everyone who took time for making this event a success and being with us in this evening. My words of gratitude would become incomplete if I fail to thank our most adored Amma for showering her immense grace throughout the session. Once again, I thank every speaker and who all came together in this dusk to celebrate the womanhood present in each one of us. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope everyone learned something new from today's compendium talks. To mark an ending for our session, I call upon Kartika for the Shanti Mantra.
Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Sri Guru Pyo Namah Hari Om.